At 10:50 local time in July 2025, a 1970s-era Iranian SH helicopter approached the USS Fitzgerald, intending to assert dominance over the Gulf waters. The aircraft, a relic of the Vietnam era, had a top speed of 140 knots and relied on twin General Electric T-58 turboshaft engines, which originally produced 1,400 horsepower each. By 2025, decades of wear had degraded engine efficiency, generating vibrations, fluctuating oil pressure, and the risk of overheating. The helicopter's airframe, with its dated avionics, lacked modern navigation, threat detection, and countermeasure systems. The Iranian crew's mission was clear: fly low, appear aggressive, broadcast warnings over unsecured frequencies, and gather intelligence. Every radar ping, radio signal, and navigation beacon emitted would be cataloged by the U.S. Navy, turning a display of bravado into an involuntary intelligence lesson. The USS Fitzgerald, a 10,000-ton Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, represents the pinnacle of modern naval warfare. 4 gas turbines generate 100,000 shaft horsepower, pushing the ship above 30 knots. Its Aegis combat system, integrated with SPY-1DV radar, can simultaneously track over 100 targets and guide dozens of missiles to intercept them. Upon detecting the helicopter, the Aegis system assigned track number 341. The threat library immediately classified it as a low-priority 1970s anti-submarine variant. Simulations already calculated 47 engagement solutions, including SM-2 missiles capable of Mach 3.5 terminal speed and 10G maneuvering. Even if engaged, the confrontation would be over in less than 30 seconds. The Fitzgerald's SLQ-32 electronic warfare suite began capturing every electromagnetic emission from the approaching helicopter. Radar pulses, radio communications, and navigation signals were recorded to build a unique electromagnetic fingerprint. Link 16, the real-time tactical data link, transmitted this information to nearby naval units, including cruisers, carriers, and aircraft, effectively allowing all U.S. assets to share a synchronized operational picture. The Iranians, unknowingly, were providing a full-scale tutorial on their electronics. The more they transmitted, the more the U.S. Navy learned about their communication methods, frequencies, and flight behaviors. This free intelligence was invaluable for future operations, turning a perceived threat into a strategic opportunity. The contrast in capabilities was stark. The SH-3H's maximum speed of 140 knots and limited maneuverability could not threaten the layered defenses of the Fitzgerald. SM-2 missiles covered 90 miles, ESSMs 27 miles, and the Phalanx CIWS could fire 4,500 rounds per minute for point defense. A helicopter moving subsonically, trailing smoke, and burning fuel could never penetrate even the outermost defensive layer. Inside the helicopter, the crew battled environmental challenges and mechanical limitations, fighting a 30-knot headwind while trying to keep pace with the destroyer rapidly drained fuel reserves. Oil pressure fluctuated into the yellow and red zones, engine temperatures climbed, and vibration made navigation difficult. In essence, the aircraft was disintegrating mid-flight, held together only by maintenance ingenuity and a bit of duct tape. Iranian state media presented the operation as a heroic defense of territorial waters. Broadcasts depicted the helicopter allegedly forcing the American destroyer to alter course, accompanied by dramatic music, slow-motion footage, and bold captions that emphasized Iranian victory in naval prowess. Interviews with local experts and commentators added layers of exaggerated interpretation, suggesting that the USS Fitzgerald had been intimidated by Iran's tactical brilliance. In reality, the Fitzgerald maintained its pre-planned course, barely reacting to the approaching helicopter, and continued its routine operations as if the aircraft were merely a minor distraction. This stark contrast between perception and reality underscores the extraordinary power of propaganda in shaping public opinion. Tehran was able to take a fundamentally harmless and mechanically struggling helicopter and portray it as a decisive instrument of national defense. Meanwhile, the U.S. Navy treated the incident not as a threat, but as an opportunity for real-time intelligence collection. Every radio transmission, radar signature, and emission from the SH-3H was meticulously recorded, cataloged, and analyzed, providing invaluable data for electronic warfare and operational planning. What Iran heralded as a bold and audacious maneuver was, in truth, a live demonstration of the yawning technological gap between a 1970s helicopter and a modern 21st century Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, revealing the futility of outdated assets against contemporary naval firepower. Even the notion of victory was reduced to a symbolic gesture, a theater of optics for domestic and international audiences, while the U.S. Navy quietly converted the event into a training and intelligence windfall, emphasizing the stark disparity between narrative and capability. The tactics employed, low passes, unsecured communications, and close-range intimidation, mirror those of the 1980s Iran-Iraq tanker wars. Iran often relied on small, expendable assets to provoke overreactions from larger forces, attempting to manipulate international perception and gain propaganda victories without committing significant resources. These older strategies were based on the assumption that even minimal harassment could influence enemy behavior or force mistakes. But unlike merchant tankers, the USS Fitzgerald represents modern naval dominance. It combines integrated radar, advanced missile systems, layered defenses, and sophisticated electronic warfare capabilities far beyond anything Iran deployed in the late 20th century. The destroyer's ability to detect, track, and neutralize threats in real time makes such provocations not only ineffective, but almost comical, highlighting the enormous technological and operational gap between Iran's aging platforms and a state-of-the-art 21st century warship. Inside the SH-3H, the crew faced both mechanical failures and psychological pressure. Vibrating rotor bearings, flickering instruments, and difficult navigation at low altitude added stress. Pilots calculated fuel consumption and headwinds manually, a stark contrast to modern digital flight systems. They attempted to carry out a mission that was strategically symbolic but operationally hazardous, illustrating the disconnect between political objectives and tactical reality. The risk of mechanical failure combined with operational stress created a precarious situation. The crew's survival depended on careful handling and the luck that the aging aircraft would not fail entirely before leaving the area. Meanwhile, the U.S. Navy observed from a distance, turning the operation into a passive training exercise. The incident highlights the strategic imbalance between legacy platforms and modern warships. One Arleigh Burke-class destroyer can engage multiple targets simultaneously, integrating radar, missiles, and electronic warfare, while a 50-year-old helicopter poses negligible threat but provides invaluable intelligence to the adversary. From a broader perspective, harassment missions using outdated assets may create short-term propaganda wins, but at the cost of operational exposure. Modern navies leverage technological superiority, intelligence gathering, and situational awareness to neutralize asymmetric threats efficiently. Every Iranian maneuver became a data point for future encounters, training U.S. forces without risk. Quantitative comparison underscores the mismatch. The SH-3H, 140 knots, max 45 minutes on station, minimal countermeasures. USS Fitzgerald, 30-plus knots sustained, 90 SM-2 vertical launch cells, multi-layered defense with SM-2, ESSM, and CIWS. Fuel burn on the helicopter exceeded efficiency tolerances, while the destroyer maintained optimal speed with negligible risk. Even a single missile from the Fitzgerald could destroy the helicopter multiple times over. Mechanically, the SH-3H's airframe flexed under stress, rotor blades groaning. Vibrations increased fatigue, while the Aegis system tracked it effortlessly, running 47 pre-calculated engagement scenarios in seconds. The intelligence gathering was automatic. Radar signals, emissions, and navigation beacons cataloged for every subsequent encounter. In effect, Iran provided the U.S. Navy with a free how-to guide for defeating this aircraft type. Had the Iranian crew attempted actual engagement, firing weapons, closer passes, or electronic jamming, they would have been instantly neutralized without any realistic chance of success. SM-2 missiles could reach supersonic speeds, maneuver at 10 G, and destroy targets at extreme ranges with pinpoint accuracy. ESSMs could intercept multiple fast-moving aerial threats simultaneously, creating a layered shield impossible to penetrate. The fouling CIW would obliterate subsonic aircraft with thousands of tungsten rounds per minute, leaving no room for error. The mismatch was not only tactical, but also economic. Each SM-2 missile cost more than the helicopter itself, and even attempting such an engagement would have guaranteed catastrophic loss with zero strategic gain. In essence, any offensive maneuver by the aging SH-3H against the Fitzgerald would have been tantamount to a suicidal demonstration, highlighting the absurdity of confronting a 21st century destroyer with outdated 1970s technology. This engagement serves as a stark lesson in modern naval doctrine. Outdated equipment can be repurposed for propaganda, but provides little real threat. Properly integrated systems, intelligence sharing, and electronic warfare create overwhelming defensive advantages. The July 2025 encounter between a 1970s-era Iranian helicopter and the USS Fitzgerald highlights a profound mismatch between perception and capability. Advanced U.S. radar, missile layers, and electronic warfare turned a potential threat into an intelligence bonanza. Propaganda transformed mechanical frailty into heroic narrative, while the reality exposed Iran's technological inferiority. Ultimately, the incident underscores the enduring principle of modern naval superiority. Hardware alone is insufficient. Integration, intelligence, and operational awareness define true power. When outdated technology confronts a modern destroyer, delusion meets firepower, and only one side emerges unscathed, armed with knowledge and operational confidence.